Hello, welcome to Living Arts. I'm your host, Jackie Suarez. Thank you for tuning in tonight. As usual, we have a terrific guest. We're going to be speaking to Denise Bessette. She is the co-founder of the Hudson Stage Company and also a Cortland resident. Denise, how are you?
I'm terrific. Happy to be here.
Well, thanks for coming down to the show. I've been really excited just to talk to you about the Hudson Stage Company.
Thank you.
So why don't you first start by, I guess, telling our audience how you got the whole thing started.
I'm partners with Dan Foster and Olivia Sklar, who both live in Croton. And at the time, I moved back east here from Los Angeles with the idea that I wanted to start a theater. I don't know what I was thinking, but that's what I wanted to do. I'd been producing in a theater out in Los Angeles for about 6 years with some terrific people, and acting. I've always been an actress and then was producing as well.
Okay.
So when I moved back here, that's what I thought I wanted to do, was to start a theater, to start an equity theater, which is a professional union house. And I just happened to bump into Olivia in the bathroom of the Premier Health Club. Where, yes,
okay, I know exactly. Montrose.
Right?
Montrose, right?
Yeah, so she overheard me talking to somebody else about what I wanted to do, and she said, oh, you know, I have a friend, and we've been talking about wanting to do that. So the three of us got together, and we started meeting at the Black Cow coffee shop and talking, and that led to us producing a staged reading series of new plays, which I'd always dealt with new plays. For a long time, I've been dealing with script development. So we had a shared vision. And that's how we started 18 years ago.
Wow, who would have thunk it, right?
Exactly, because I was seeking out people to mentor me and to give me insight, input, advice about budgeting, contracts, all of that. And some people were very encouraging, and one guy said, don't do it. He just said, don't do it, flat out, because he'd been producing for a while, a professional theater, and it takes tremendous tenacity, passion, drive, all of that.
So what are some of the drawbacks from doing that, or why did he suggest that?
I'm not sure for him at that time. I can't say. His theater has since folded, by the way. Right. It's very hard. You can't make a living wage doing it. We're doing it for the love of it, and that's what's really got to carry you. And I am blessed having partners who have an incredible work ethic and share the same passion. So even though we'll have staff for any given production, between the designers, the director, the cast, anybody who's working on the crew, like these guys, it's always the three of us, through thick and through thin, day in and day out. And so it takes mutual respect, it takes a shared energy, and over the years, you know, it's been very challenging, but it's also been extremely rewarding and gratifying.
So now are you guys, because I know that you're a nonprofit, so you're essentially still pretty much, you're volunteering and doing other projects.
No. It's not like we're drawing a large annual salary, but we get paid, especially if I'm on contract. I get paid as a producer, and not a lot, believe me. But so it might be essentially volunteering, but we're professional, and we actually pay union salaries to anybody, whether it's the director, designer, and actors on any show. But it's contracted per show.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. So why don't you, I guess I wanted to ask you about that, because I guess that was one of the questions that I had. You're doing stage readings of new works.
That's what we started doing,
Okay.
was staged readings of new plays with an audience of anywhere from 75 to 100, and we were at the Croton Library when we started. They had just built a beautiful space, the Ottinger Room, which was perfect for readings, because it was intimate, and people could enjoy the live performance. And then we'd have the playwright there, the director. They'd rehearse that day. It was a brand new play. And then afterwards there'd be a question and answer period with the audience to give feedback. So in the continuing development of the play, that was part of the process. So people loved that. And then eventually we realized, of course, we wanted to produce productions, but then we had to learn fundraising, which meant coming up with the monies for everything from soup to nuts that you were going to need for the production. Now you had to deal with sets and costumes and rehearsal space. And our first space was over at the Clearview School in Briarcliff. I don't know if you know it. In the Helen Hayes Theater. We were there. Then we were very fortunate because Pace University hosted us for over 9 years.
Oh wow, yes, I did read that.
Yeah, and now we've just moved to Whippoorwill Hall Theatre at the North Castle Public Library. So we're in residence there in Armonk, and it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. It's 180 or so seats, very intimate, a proscenium stage, and it's terrifically, located. It's very convenient for southern and northern Westchester, for east and west, because of the crossroads area. Yeah, absolutely. And that town is amazing because it's got so many restaurants. So it's great. We're very happy there. We've done 3 shows and 2 summer benefits already, and it's a terrific space.
And you have, I guess, a part of your mission is also working with some, local high school and doing, works with them. Why don't you tell our audience about that?
We're just about to do that. If this airs before that, Thursday, March 17th, we're doing the Young Playwrights Festival, and we've been doing that for years with Briarcliff High School. And I'm actually very, very interested in opening that up to other high schools if they're interested. So I'm very approachable
I'm not sure if we
and
can do it before then, but certainly whenever the next one is, the show will air before then.
Yes.
But let us know when, the next one will be happening.
They work with their mentors and teacher, Jamie Mandel and Ian Driver, at the high school to develop, and this is uncensored. That's the advantage of having it at our theater versus under the auspices of the high school. But it's fantastic because it's brand new plays that the kids have written and directed and are acting in.
Wow.
And they're all short plays. So it's an evening of 1 acts.
So how many of those are you doing?
It's one night for them, but
how
within
many
the
one-act
evening,
plays?
there's usually about 15. There's quite a few.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah. There's a first act and a second act, and yeah, they're terrific. It's been an exciting.
Is it always the same high school?
It's always been Briarcliff High School because we were in residence at Pace University on the Briarcliff campus. So I approached them because they were in the same town to develop a relationship locally. And I'm very interested in seeing that expand, but we've been doing it for years with them.
What a terrific experience for the high schoolers.
It is. Well, they're doing all the work. All the preparation happens on the premises of the school, their school, and then that day they get to play hooky and come over on a bus. So the school's terrific and cooperative in that way. They provide the bus, they transport them over, and then we'll have snacks. We give them pizza for dinner. It's great.
Well,
it's
yeah,
great.
and also you're encouraging a budding new writer or actress, and kind of giving them a platform.
There are young playwrights festivals around the country, and there's one in New York City that's very famous, and the O'Neill Festival that I used to be a reader for has a young playwrights festival. But this is a good platform.
It is. It is. So that's really terrific.
Thank you.
While we're on the subject, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about what your mission is?
With Hudson Stage,
right.
The mission originally was to do premieres of new plays. Now we do plays that are new to Westchester. So they may have some legs on them. They might have been produced in New York City or a regional theater, but they're absolutely new to Westchester. So, for instance, we just did Other Desert Cities by John Robin Bates. That was done at Lincoln Center and transferred to Broadway. So it had been done in New York, but it hadn't been done here.
So it's not widely known.
It's fairly well known. It was award-winning and nominated, but it was new to this area. So our audiences, some might have seen it in New York, but they loved it, so they're still going to come and see it again. Okay. And the play we're about to do, Animals Out of Paper by Rajiv Joseph, was done at Second Stage in New York City a few years ago, but it still hasn't been done in Westchester. Then we did The God Game, which was our first production at the Armonk space, and that was a brand new play.
You're starring in these as well?
Once in a while, not all the time, no. I'd love to be completely self-serving, but no. I love to act, and when there's something that I'm really loving, I'll stake myself on it. So the last time I was on stage with Hudson Stage was in a Pinter play called Kind of Alaska. And that was a one act that was paired with a Carol Churchill play called A Number. So that was the first time we'd done something like that. We paired 2, they were British one acts. That was a wonderful experience. Yeah.
So that's nice. I mean, I guess it'd be a conflict of interest to kind of cast yourself in all of these.
In all of them, yeah. I'm pretty honest about what I'm right for and what I'm not. So, for instance, there's a young Indian male student in the next play, and I know I'm not right for that part, so I didn't even try to play it.
So when is that new production coming out, actually?
We're going to preview. We only have one preview, Friday, April 29th, and then we open Saturday, April 30th. There's a matinee that Sunday of, May 1st, and it runs for 3 weekends for 9 performances only.
Oh, wow, so it's going to be a short run.
Yeah, 3 weekends.
So now how is that working? Because I saw something on your website about members. And is it something about membership?
No, at one point we tried a subscription.
Okay.
We do 2 main stage productions a year. In addition, we still do the staged readings of the new plays. But the subscription, we may put it back in again when we expand the programming. But for now it works. We've got very loyal audience members, and we're always looking for expanding our audience to come, because it's extremely reasonable. It's very affordable.
Right, compared to New York City, for sure.
Right, and it's a professional. I mean, the caliber of the work is on a par with off-Broadway and Broadway. I want to say Broadway, but
Well, of course.
they're professionals that are coming that have been on Broadway, TV, film. Yeah.
So there was a slight shift, I guess, in what you started out doing, right? As far as the, what you chose for the works that you were using.
Right, because the first few shows were brand new plays. Maybe they had been done at a regional theater, but they were New York or world or American premieres. And then we realized that we're not really set up for the kind of development that another theater might do in taking a play from the original idea and through the process with the writer. So we didn't have that kind of time to be always identifying plays that needed development and then could be produced. So now we're looking for plays that are a little bit more production ready.
Okay.
Which doesn't stop us from pulling plays from the reading series. So for instance, The God Game that we did, which was about a Republican senator who is tapped to be a vice presidential candidate. And he's not religious, but his wife is. She's a born-again Christian. And so we always do provocative plays and possibly a little controversial. So this was very interesting. So they were asking for him to utz up his religiosity, and he was bristling at that. He was like, no, that's not who I am. And in the end, he did kind of cave. And his wife was upset because she didn't want him to sell out. She didn't want him to adopt. That's her faith, not necessarily his.
Right, he was
for the
faking
sake
it.
of politics.
Right,
exactly.
he was being fake.
Exactly. So that we had done as a reading, as part of our reading series. So many times the plays do come out of that. That's how we're identifying material that we want to produce.
Okay, now through the reading series.
Right.
Okay, so now how are people participating in that? Are they sending in submissions?
Yes, absolutely. I work with
Okay.
agents and I work with directors. And so people will say, take a look at this play. So we just did a reading by John Peelmeyer, who wrote Agnes of God.
Yes.
Are you aware of that play and movie? So he wrote that, and he lives in Garrison. So there you go. You should have him on the show.
Good idea.
The writer, so I knew John and his wife Irene, and actually a director who I'd been wanting to develop a relationship with submitted that to us for considering, and along with other scripts. And I read it, and I thought, God, I've been wanting to work with John, and this very much appealed to me. Out of a similar world of Agnes of God, which was about a nun who apparently had a miracle happen. This is about a woman who's being nominated for canonization.
Okay.
And it could be potentially controversial because her son, whom she abandoned to go and work with Africans who have AIDS, has very strong opinions about her. So the woman
right.
who's
Wow.
trying to vet her for canonization arrives from the Vatican to interview the son. So it was really very provocative and very interesting. So we just did that as a reading a couple weeks ago with audience, who came, and we have a conversation afterwards, a discussion.
So it's kind of like a guided discussion.
Yeah, I moderate the discussion, and we take questions from the audience, and the playwright and the director and the actors participate.
So about how often are you having those?
We're now doing 4 per season. It used to be that we only did readings, so we did about 6. It's almost like a mini production because you go through the process of casting, and even though you're rehearsing that day, it takes some planning. There are places that's all they do. They
Wow.
mostly do readings and workshops.
Okay, so now the actors that are participating, they're all equity, and
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No, in fact, we just hired an actor for this next production who's non-equity, and maybe he'll turn equity. We can always offer the card, but
And you're handling auditions and everything on your end?
Yes.
Are you working with a casting director?
yes, we have a casting director. Very good. Cindy Rush has been doing our casting for the last few seasons.
So is
So
that out
we
of-
just finished casting. We're actually waiting to hear from one actress that the offer is out, but
Wow.
2 of the 3. It's a small cast. 2 of the 3 have been cast.
So is that happening in New York, or is that happening locally?
In New York, but we see actors from Westchester.
Okay.
They come in, and occasionally we've done local auditions, but we'll always see local people if they want to come into the city. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so we rehearse in New York City for 3 weeks. Then we come up to the theater for the technical
I don't know why I'm
rehearsal.
saying wow. Like, I mean, I'm familiar with the process, but I always think to myself that I guess I was under the impression that it was being handled on a smaller scale, I guess.
I don't know what you mean by smaller.
Not a smaller scale that you yourself
more
were
locally.
actually, seeing people.
We did our own casting for many years, and we did a good job. We got great people.
But it's time consuming.
It is time consuming, and it's wonderful to be able to hand that off to somebody that you can trust. And
Sure.
that's what's happened over the years with many things. As I wear a lot of hats, and so do my partners. And it's great to be able to bring in people who know what they're doing and say, I'm delegating this to you. Take it and run, and trust them. It's great.
Right, or of the 100 people that are sending in, their headshots and stuff to say,
Right. Well, now everything's online. So people get submitted by their agents, but you can comb through all of these submissions. It used to be hard copy. You'd get the actual hard picture and resume submitted. So now things are much greener.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I'm so out of the loop or don't know that enough about it that
That's
I
okay.
didn't think that it was all happening online.
Yes, all the submissions are online from agents to the casting director.
So I guess actors must be saving a fortune then, so then you don't have to have a bunch of headshots.
Right, you don't have as many as you used to.
You just have
actually,
the one.
You wouldn't even bother mailing hard copy headshots to people because what are they going to do with them? They're not keeping files anymore, really.
So I guess with
you
models.
can submit yourself.
Okay, so with models it's the same thing. So everyone just
I have
has.
no idea. I'm not a model. Don't pretend to be one. I have no
Everything
idea
is digital now.
what
so
that process is.
You've got the one
Yes,
file,
it's
and
much
everybody
less
can look
expensive.
at it, and that's it.
Although, when the actor comes in for the audition, and when I go for an audition, I have to have a picture and resume. I still have to hand it to the people who are in the room. So we'll have a pile of pictures and resumes from the people that have come in. And then I'll keep the ones that we want to work with in the future. So for instance, somebody might have done a terrific job, but we don't cast them that time. Maybe on down the line we'll
Next
think
time.
they're right for that. But so we'll keep those pictures and resumes.
Yeah.
It always pays off.
So you yourself, being an actress, because your career has been really stellar. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Aren't you very nice calling it stellar? I've been a professional actress for, how old am I? I'm not going to say. 30-something years. 20, 30. Yes. 30-something years, and I love it, and it's always what I wanted to do. Although, once upon a time, when they asked me, when I was in Catholic school, what do you want to be? I said, a nun or an actress. And they said, well, you have to pick one. I said, okay, let me think. And I said, okay, an actress. So I figured that's what led me to But I played a nun.
Well, as long as you
ended up
you obey
playing
the
a-
commandments or something, I guess you'll be all right.
In Bergerac, I played a nun. So, no, because we had these cute two little French-Canadian nuns that were in my family. Oh, gosh, they were cute. Yes.
Actually, you told me really quickly, we'll talk about, you have someone in your family that was being canonized.
Canonized, yes.
Tell us about that.
Saint Andre Bessette. He was Brother Andre, and he was a very humble servant on the property of the Oratoire de Saint-Joseph in Montreal. I'm pretty sure that's the name of it. And a lot of miracles were attributed to him. So
Wow.
he was in the process of, of sainthood, the canonization, and he has been officially canonized. I'm not sure what the exact connection is, but my sister who did the genealogy, we are definitely related on my father's side.
Well, it's not every day you hear about something like that, so congratulations.
Well, I had nothing to do with it,
yeah,
but
no,
I'll
I
take
mean,
credit.
hey. So, you said that you were out in Los Angeles for a while, so are you a Westchester native, or are you
No,
from?
no, I'm from Ridgefield, Connecticut originally.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the trip to Los Angeles was an absolute fluke. There was a hurricane while we were renovating our house, and it blew the roof off and took the tarps and everything. And the house became unlivable. So my husband and I decided to go to LA while they were restoring and repairing the house. And that was supposed to be for a couple of months with our young son, and it ended up being 6 years. So I was out there doing theater and television, and we have good friends there. And when we decided to move back here, I knew that I wanted to raise my son here, and as it turned out, I ended up having a baby girl upon our return. So our kids were raised here, eventually, but my son grew up in Los Angeles. So there were mixed feelings about leaving there. I love my friends there, but I really feel at home here. We had bought this house in Cortland back in '83, which is a long time ago.
Yes.
Yeah, but we didn't officially move into there until '87, but we love it. We're on a little lake.
Yeah.
I love it.
So is the stage, or kind of doing plays, your your love, or have you done films?
I've done a couple films, always, small parts in films and television, Law and Orders, Seinfeld. I worked with Larry David on a film that he wrote and directed before I left Los Angeles.
I love that man.
Oh gosh, he's wonderful.
That's like my
Funny,
own. That's on my
so
own little.
funny.
I put on. Whenever I'm having a bad day, I'll go to the HBO Go. And
Yeah,
I'll put
Curb
on,
Your Enthusiasm.
Yes.
No, he was great. He was funny that day.
Just for my
and
own
that's,
amusement.
That's before that ever came out. But it was after he'd already left Seinfeld, and I had just shot the Seinfeld. So to go in and meet him, I was so thrilled. And I played a waitress in the Trump in Atlantic City, if that's not ironic. So they dolled me up as a babe. I was a few pounds lighter then, and several years younger. Anyway, so I very much like and enjoy TV and film, and I'd like to do more of it. And now that my daughter's graduating from high school, from Hen Hud,
Oh yeah.
I'm looking forward to pursuing acting again more frequently. But my passion's always going to be the theater. Always, always, always. There's nothing like that live experience where the audience feeds you, and also the rehearsal process of discovery. You don't get that in TV and film,
Right.
or very rarely. That's kind of hit the mark and do it.
I mean, so has that been one of the best, I guess, parts of what you're doing? Maybe discovering or having, just nurturing someone with a project that they, started, or some new work.
Yes. In a way, it's like playing God, and I don't want to pad my part. But when my partners and I can stand in the back of the theater and think, we did this. This would not have happened if we didn't put the pieces together, if we hadn't connected the playwright with the director, with this cast, and created this magic. And maybe it's not all perfect, but it's pretty gratifying.
I can imagine, and just how hard it must be to keep it going.
Yes.
Because oftentimes with things, being what they are, the arts are some of the things that people don't really appreciate sometimes.
Well, we survived the big recession. We've got very loyal supporters. We could always use more money. Can I say that to every camera? We can always use more money.
Sure. And so could Jackie. I'll say that to every camera.
Checks payable to Hudson Stage.
Yeah.
We are nonprofit. It's tax deductible.
Yes, you're a nonprofit.
Right.
Exactly.
But yes, so we're very fortunate to have some really loyal supporters over the years who love what we do, and that's an ever-expanding, army of people. So we welcome people to come and discover us. But yeah, it's hard, and I think between the three of us, we've wanted to walk at various points, but we've hung in there.
Right.
And I think the commitment has been very strong. It's a real devotion. It is a labor of love.
Well, you have to stick in there. You can't just give up.
No, I've got that on my refrigerator. Never, never, never give up. I think it was Winston Churchill.
Really?
Yeah.
I ought to have that tattooed across my forehead.
Yeah, I think I've sworn at it a couple of times. What do you mean, never, never, never give up? But
what's been the most challenging part for you?
The most challenging? It's the minutia. It's the details. It's the stuff that when something goes wrong, it's the next curveball when you're tired that you go, oh, now what? What fresh hell is this? You just don't ever know. The thing is, you juggle a lot of balls, right? And you have to be improvisational in a way. You have to be flexible, willing to face whatever challenge or curveball comes. But you can't control what the curveballs are going to be. So it's when things happen that you didn't predict that you have to trust that you're resourceful enough to deal with it, whatever it happens to be. Whether it's a broken toilet, or an actor that missed their train, or an actor that's passing a kidney stone. That happened. And we didn't know she was going to make the performance. She was playing my daughter, or she was going to be in the hospital. And we don't have understudies. Is the show going to go on?
Oh, wow.
Right? But you have a lot of faith. It takes that mustard seed. It takes that kind of faith to say, all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. So you know it's going to be okay.
So you must have had to cancel a performance or two over the years.
No. What we did do was with Hurricane Sandy, not Hurricane Sandy. What was it? Yes, Hurricane
The one that
Sandy.
happened a couple of years ago.
Hurricane Sandy.
It was on Halloween, right?
Yes, yes, yes. We not only had to postpone. We were about to go into tech rehearsal when we lost the power. This was at Pace University. And so we had to postpone that and the opening. That's the first and I hope only time we ever have to deal with that. But thank God for Con Ed and for Arts Westchester and the people who banded together to try and restore power on that campus so that we could finally open. And the actors who kept rehearsing in good faith that we eventually would open, because it was serious. I mean, a lot of people suffered from that. And our neighborhood was the last neighborhood to get power back, my own neighborhood that I lived in. But I cared less about that than I did about seeing the show going on. And it was a wonderful show. It was Stones in His Pockets. It was about these two guys in Ireland. It was wonderful.
And I'm sure people needed to see it just to distract themselves.
Yes, they were so grateful. That was the thing, because it was a comedy, and it was very moving as well. So, yes.
So we touched on it, briefly, but definitely tell our audience, how they can get a hold of you to see your next production.
The website, where am I looking here?
Yes, this is you.
The website is www.hudsonstage.com. Tickets are available through there. And that's all you have to know, is go on there. It's Animals Out of Paper by Rajiv Joseph, directed by Stephen Nakami, and produced by myself, Olivia Sklar, and Dan Foster.
Kind of a unique story. Why don't you tell us a little bit about
that?
Well,
it's about, if I may, in a soundbite, it's about a well-known and well-regarded origami artist who's having creative block. And she's approached by a high school teacher, a local high school teacher, who says, can you help mentor a student of mine who's very troubled? He's got a lot of issues. And she agrees, reluctantly. So you've got a triangular relationship that develops. And the kid turns out to be very precocious, very bright, very savvy, and very gifted. So that's it in a nutshell. It's wonderful. It's very different from anything we've ever done. I always say that because we try to balance everything thematically, try to come up with something that our audience haven't seen yet.
And this is going to be at your new space.
Right, not so new anymore,
Not new, but
newish, at the Whippoorwill Hall Theatre at the North Castle Public Library in Armonk. And you can go to dinner at any of our participating restaurants.
So when you say participating, you mean just the ones that are in town, or do they have a relationship with you somehow?
There are many restaurants in town, but some of them advertise through us, and some of them actually offer you can get a free glass of wine with dinner.
Nice, nice.
Yes,
Good to know.
yes.
Definitely good to know.
There's some terrific restaurants there.
And do you have, moving forward, do you know what your the project's going to be after that?
Yes, we do.
Okay, let us know.
We have the fall main stage production is a French-Canadian play that's been translated, and it's called You Will Remember Me. And it's about a professor who has Alzheimer's. So,
wow, so,
yeah.
So you guys have that also, and that's going to be in the fall?
That's in the fall.
All right, terrific. Well, we're winding down now. We want to, you've given us your website information, and if some lucky person out there wants to, be one of your sponsors, they know how to get a hold of you.
We welcome contributions. We welcome them. And getting involved with us. We're always looking for volunteers. If you usher, you see the show for free. That books up pretty quickly.
Oh,
I have a strong list of people who always say, I'm ready, can I do it? But we look for crew members, for people to help. Yeah.
All right, well, wonderful. I want to thank you. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
You too. It's been a pleasure to be here.
I'm surprised that I've been kind of sleeping on coming to see one of your productions.
You're invited.
I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I'm going to be bringing a friend and letting everybody that I can get my hands on know about it.
Good.
And definitely, we didn't mention Marcy Friedman, who actually brought us together.
My friend Marcy, the gifted artist.
Yes, she was the one that gave me your information, and I want to thank her. So it was great to meet you.
You too.
Great to talk about the Hudson Stage Company.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
And to my Living Arts audience, I hope you enjoyed this show. Definitely check out the Hudson Stage Company. They are doing some wonderful things. Go to their website and find out what's going on with their next production. And as always, you can check out what we've been doing on our YouTube channel and go to Facebook. I try to have interesting stuff on there for you. This is our 90th show, so I've been messing with you guys for 90 shows. Try to do some more for you, or do many more for you. As always, peace, and I will speak to you soon.